Okay, I've been thinking a lot about reality, and I take a lot of classes right now. A lot of my classes are exploring the concept of reality, more so from a philosophical lens, which I find annoying because they're just like running around in circles. But I also have studied it from a scientific lens, and I think both I think there's been a lot of people who've tried to understand what reality is because everyone's perceptions are so different. And if you can't have a standard objective view of what reality is, then how will we ever know, right? Let me break that down. So, every human being is going to see reality differently. Everyone, even if we are all experiencing the same exact thing, we all have different past experiences. We all have different brains and bodies, and we all process things differently. Oh, it's just science. Like, we will not have the same experience as someone else, even if we have the exact same conditions. And I find that very unique because it makes me wonder about how we can influence our reality and make it something that we can just have control over it, right? Because if it's completely constructed by our brains, then we have the power to control it, don't we? Like, we have power there. And it makes me wonder just like what reality is, and I don't think we will ever have an answer to that, and that pisses me off. That pisses me off. I want to know what reality is, and there have been really great cognitive psychologists and physicists, and I think quantum physics is really, really cool as well. Like, there have been groundbreaking studies recently in this realm and in this field of study, but I've studied it quite a bit from neuroscience, and I want to tell you some things that I've learned that are just like mind blowing in the sense that our brains are just predicting reality. Like, we're not even experiencing reality directly. That broke my brain when I learned it. And so I'll just share some brain breaking facts and then also how we can work on influencing our reality and not being subjects to it. Okay, so you probably don't even realize this, but your senses pick up so much information, like a ridiculous amount, but our brain cannot physically absorb all that information, right? Our senses bring up 11 million bits of information per second up to our brain, and our brain only processes 50 bits. Only 50 bits of those 11 million bits, which, if I'm correct, that's like 0.000045%. Hold on, pause. Haha, I was right. Okay, yeah. I did not do that in my head. I just looked it up yesterday, so I'm not a super genius like that. But yeah, it's 0.00045% of information. So that means we are physically only picking up 0.00045% of what's happening around us. Think about that. There is so much happening around us, yet we are only consciously aware of this teeny portion. How much are we missing? How, like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about, but there is so much of life that we are missing and not paying attention to. But it's simply just our brain's capacity. Like, like, that is just our brain's capacity. That is the machinery we were born with and that we were given, and it's fantastic and it does so much for us. But it really just begs the question of how much are we missing, and then that's only from our senses, right? I've thought about, like, what about a snake, right? A snake sees things in, like, is it UV, like heat waves? I don't know. It has a different way of sight. Like, it looks at things differently, right? So our human senses pick up on human things that, like, the visible light spectrum and, like, things that we can physically pick up on, but we're not even picking up on other spectrums, like those, whatever the snakes use, and, like, different animals have different senses that allow them to pick up on different things. So we're not even picking up everything. We're only picking up what our human body can pick up. So not only are we picking up this much information, like, from our brain, we're also not even picking up everything because our body can't do that. Like, isn't that insane? So how much of reality are we missing? Question mark. What is reality? Question mark. And how can we influence it? I unfortunately don't know what reality is entirely, and no one does. This weekend, I was wondering what the universe was and just like going down a rabbit hole. And no, like there's it's just so there are some answers that we humans can never figure out. We're working towards it, and I think that's really cool, but I think at the end of the day it's going to be really hard for it to be empirically proven. But that the main point of this little section is just I want to tell you that we're not picking up everything. In fact, our brains are predictive machines. And I read the study a while ago that talked about how we don't even perceive reality as it's happening. We perceive reality before it happens based off of past experiences. And so, yeah, it just like really makes me wonder so many things. It makes me go down a rabbit hole. So basically, the summary of that was we don't see a lot of things that are happening around us. So we don't consciously perceive it. But then it even goes further. And there was a study that came out a while ago. I read it a while ago. And it was talking about how our brains are prediction machines. Makes sense. Because our brain is just trying to keep us alive. That is what our brain is trying to do. But our brain is a prediction machine. So if our brain is just trying to always be predicting, it is predicting our reality as we speak. Like, you actually never come in contact with reality in the present state because your brain is always 50 to 100 milliseconds ahead of reality, right? Your brain is always 50 to 100 milliseconds ahead of reality, meaning you're predicting what is happening. Like, that's insane. That broke my brain for days. Like, we actually are just making up reality out of our heads. Like, prediction. And then, like, if it gets it wrong, it'll correct it, I'm pretty sure. But, like, our brain is just a prediction machine. Oh my gosh, that broke my brain. So, like, not only are we seeing this much, we're not even, like, seeing it in real time. Just sit on that one. And so that just, like, broke my brain. And I think learning those two facts just really layered in that reality isn't what we think it is. And I don't know if we will ever find an answer, but neuroscience tells us that we have a lot of control over it. So emotions play a really big part in what is perceived by us. Let me explain. So I gave an example earlier of having just like a bad day. And your brain is just actively making it worse because everything just seems to go so much worse. You know, like you have a bad morning, you sleep through your alarm, and then it's raining and you get poured on your way to class, and then you forget to pack your lunch, and it's just like a terrible day. And it's quite interesting because when you're in a bad emotional state, you only have 50 bits of 11 million bits of information that are going to your brain. Your brain is going to choose to pay attention to the negative things and pull those in as one of the 50 bits of information. So what you perceive is 100% controlled by your emotional state. If you're in a bad mood, your brain will be primed and ready to pick up on negative emotional state things, right? So like getting poured on. You could be like, this is the worst thing ever, or you could be like, feeling the rain on your skin, you know? And so a lot of your reality is controlled by your emotional state. Now let's take the other example. If you're in a great mood and it starts raining and you get to feel the rain on your skin, right? Then you're more likely to find enjoyment in it. It's 100% perceptual, but that is what makes up reality. That's what makes up life. And so it goes to show that a lot of reality is controlled by our emotional state. And also there's been a rise, I think, over the last couple decades in visualization, meditation, and that also plays a part because it also primes your brain. So again, you only have 50 of the 11 million bits of information going up to your brain. If you can prime your brain to objectively and actively seek things out, it will. Your brain is a machine at the end of the day. It is a prediction machine. And so if you can visualize, meditate, whatever, and like see things very clearly, your brain is going to actively seek it out. It's going to actively seek out features, feelings, whatever it may be, to pull that into your reality, simply because your reality is all perceptual. So if you can visualize, if you can look at, if you can embody feelings, whatever it may be, your brain is going to say, hey, we're ready for this. Let's try it. When it comes across as one of the 11 million bits, let's pull it because it's important and we're ready for it for the fit as one of the 50 bits, and let's make that into what we consciously perceive. Otherwise, it could still be happening, but it's going to fly by you and it won't be picked out, and it's just going to get lost in one of the other millions of bits that are not being perceived, right? So it's 100% 100% it's conscious, and 100% you have control over it. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really, really interesting, the new studies that are coming out. It makes me really wonder what reality is. I feel like we will never get a full view of it. I don't know if we will. A lot of people say that because our brain is a predictive machine, it just kind of begs the question, are we in a simulation? And to that I say, maybe. I don't know. I think The Matrix is really cool. If anyone hasn't seen The Matrix, it's a really, really cool movie. And it talks about just that, like we're in a simulation. And I I don't know. A lot of philosophers say we are. I say I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. But what I do believe is what the studies have shown, that we do have control and we do have a lot of influence over our reality. So I think that allows us to take control and like sit at the steering wheel and drive the car instead of being in the passenger seat of our life. Like you have control over it. So you can make things happen. You can make reality happen for you. So yeah, this is kind of more of like a rant of certain things and a ramble of certain things that I found recently. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, and we'll see you next time.